So we were talking about your dad a little bit. His YMCA regimen entails what?
So again, my dad's nickname is Grit. What a cool name. Wish I would have earned it. He had AFib for heart flutter so that his heart was never on full beat, about starting in 1970. And so when that happened, back then they didn't have an easy solution for it, which now today is like nothing. And so he had to live with it. And so couldn't work out the way he wanted to, but he was a workout fiend. He loved working out. So he figured out I could do sit-ups. My heart could handle it and I could really get a good workout, but it took a few hours. And so he, over the years, would go in at 4 a.m. He's a 4 a.m. kind of guy. And he'd start his sit-ups and he had a mat and his whole thing. He'd come in and over the years, people were there and they'd watch this guy come in and start doing sit-ups and then come back an hour later and there he was doing sit-ups, and then an hour later, there he was. It got to be where he was like 8,000 sit-ups a morning. And you think to me, oh, Steve, you're exaggerating. Quit freaking lying. No, 5,174, 5,100, that's my dad. And so over the years, the people in the Y, he became famous for this insanity. And now if you walk into the Greenwich YMCA, Greenwich, Connecticut, there's a little plaque with my dad and with some trophy for 8,000 sit-ups in the morning, and that's how he did it.
You would describe his work ethic how?
As a kid, you never felt pushed. The only time you felt pushed is when you wanted to quit. Like he didn't push you to do stuff. Like, hey, you got to play there, you got to do that, or you got to. But once you chose, okay, you know what? I'm gonna play baseball. Then if you went to him and said, hey, you know what? I don't feel like practicing today. Oh, he'd be inflamed. It's like, no, you chose to do this. Now live it. Be about it. And he would not have it. The idea of quitting or not giving the full measure of yourself. I remember when I went to BYU and I was the 8th string quarterback and I called my dad. I'd been recruited by North Carolina. Maybe I could start there, and now I'm an 8th string quarterback. I'm, Dad, this is terrible. And I was miserable, told him I wanted to come home. And he made this famous quote, you can quit, but you can't come home because I don't live with quitters. And he was dead. He wasn't metaphorical. It was like dead serious, like, don't come home. And if he would have said to me, you know what, Steve, you are getting screwed. It's not fair. You come home. I would have come home. And so I'm grateful for the grit in him.
Or baseball when your batting average was 0.
Yeah, so in our town, baseball was the king. Clam box was the team.
You were quite the player,
and
too.
I was 13 years
Eventually.
old, and I thought I was and all the kids were like, oh, he's a really good athlete. He's really going to be great. I went 0 for 40, I want to say. Like, it got to be like a running joke. It was pain. Can you imagine a 13-year-old and all the kids, and you're supposed to be this super cool athlete, and you can't get a hit? So I've had some bad. See, Graham, you wanted to just go through all the bad things that happened in my life. So let's just get them out of the way.
Yeah,
yes, Urkel beat me in the 3-point NBA celebrity shootout. Okay, I get that. I lost Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in the first round because I didn't know what Crucible was. Like, let's just get them all out so that I can just get it done. We're all kind of finished and we can start talking about the good stuff.
I understand he had a distinct whistle.
Yeah. He had a whistle. You could hear it from all around the neighborhood, and that meant it's time.
What's the woodshed?
He threatened the woodshed. I guess there was some fear. Good call. I don't know where you're getting all this, Graham. He would always say, I'll take you to the woodshed. You keep it up, I'm taking you to the woodshed. I was like, man, I never want to go to the woodshed. I hope I never see it. And as I got older, I'm like, wait, we don't have a woodshed. So he's just freaking making it up, you know?
Why is he your hero?
Well, I think parents have such a vital, I mean, obviously, from the very moment you're born, but parenting is that sacred place, right, where you get everything. You get your parents' DNA, whatever that is. You get their personalities, you get their flaws. You have to live with them in that way. And so parenting's like a dicey spot. And I'm just grateful for the consistency that my parents gave me. My mom is a peacemaker. She would go to the ends of the earth to make sure that people felt a sense of peace. And people might say, oh, she just, gave in a lot. No, she was like
I heard
peacemaking athlete.
I heard she could have a tough streak too, because when your brother didn't want to collect on his paper
Where are you
route.
getting these, Graham? This is insanity. Yeah, we did the paper route for years. I had it, and then I gave it to my brother Mike. And Mike one day, and we hated that, and Mike wouldn't do it. I'm not doing it. And my mom punched him. We still laugh about that one. Anyway, so I guess that belies my peacemaker story. But my parents, the consistency and the ability to count on them. I think there's something about, for my childhood, what was, you know, you take it for granted, but they were there, and so I'm grateful. They lived it out. And they're almost 89 and 86, and I saw him the other day. As I was leaving, he goes, "Don't ever let the old man in." You know, I'm like, "Okay, Dad." You heard that from Jerry Jones in a speech.
What do you think you most learned from your mom?
I think our home today is a peaceful home because I've modeled, and Barb and I modeled in some ways my mom and others in her life, I'm sure, but we have, strife and conflict and trials are dealt with in trying to find a peaceful way to deal with them resonantly and authentically, and I think that's the pay it forward from my mom. Is, I think, my home, and I noticed when we get together, all the young kids, we go down to Lake Powell every year on houseboats, and we have 70. My brothers and sisters, all of us have 27 kids, and they all come down, and it's remarkable. Everyone gets along. You'd think there'd always be someone have a conflict, and I think that's the spirit of my mom.
Jim said to me, Steve likes to have things feel like they aren't smooth because he likes to make it smooth, whether in personal or professional life.
That reminds me of my dad one day, middle of my career, something happened. He goes, "You know what? I am convinced you like 3rd and 10. And I thought I was offended. I was like, 3rd and 10 sucks. Like, would you think I like it? He goes, "I don't know, your life, it feels like you look for it." And it's bothered me ever since. Like,
really?
Is it possible? Is it possible, Graham, that I like 3rd and 10? Like, that would be sick, right? Like, anyone's like, "I'm 3rd, oh no, I'd rather be 3rd and 4. Right? Of course you would be, right?
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. I think 3rd and 10 finds me, and then I got to deal with it.
And why do you think it finds you?
I felt many times like I'm the end of a string on a stick, and God just spun it for fun. Like, it would go fast, and then I was like, "Hey, this is too fast," and then like faster, and then faster. Like, wait, stop! But that's the life. I think, Graham, what happened is, there was always a part of me that was a worrier, and there was always a part of me I wanted to go get stuff done. And luckily, the get stuff done part of me won. And in that part, I just kind of I'd see the next mountain, whatever it was, and I would just start climbing. And I think that's maybe what we're talking about.